Okay, good morning to everybody. So today MMPH004 is block 3. Today we have to discuss about the block 3. So block 3 contains the unit number 10, that is your collective bargaining. Unit number 11 is your bargaining structure, process and agreement. And unit 12 is your negotiations. So in the block 3 there are 3 units related to collective bargaining only. So let's see, first try to understand what is the collective bargaining and then what is the process, what type of structures are there, and finally how to negotiate the things. So first, the term basically the collective bargaining is originated in the writings of this Sydney and British wave, the famed historian, the British labor movement. One of the British labor movement was there, and based on this, how that movement was successful, that story ultimately given a theory. So towards the end of the 19th century, it was there. So collective bargaining is a process of joint decision making and basically represents a democratic way. So in the democratic way, what the way it is present, that is the things. Now we have to go in further details to clarify the definitions more. Meaning and the concept of the collective bargaining. Collective bargaining has been defined in the encyclopedia of the social sciences as a process of discussion and the negotiation between the two parties, one or both of whom is a group of persons acting in concert. So there should be more than one party. Those who are discussed about their agenda, whatever it is, to achieve some of the solutions. The resulting bargain is in the understanding as to the terms and the conditions under which a continuing service is to be performed. So basically it is a continuous process and some dynamic nature for the solving of the solutions for the employee related matters. The functions for the basically the collective bargaining functions of the collective bargaining. There is collective bargaining serves a number of important functions. It is a rule making or the legislative process in the sense that it is formulated terms and conditions under which the labor and the management has to work. Labor and management may operate and work together over a certain stated period. It may be 1 year, it may be 4 years, 5 years, based on the agreement, what type of agreement was there. So that's why, based on this, that terms and condition will be followed by everybody. Structure of the collective bargaining. So collective bargaining structure refers to the regularized patterns of the union management interactions or the network of institutionalized bargaining relationships. Every bargaining structure, so this comprises of the bargaining levels, bargaining units, bargaining forms, and bargaining scope. So everything are defined. nature of collective bargaining. So, in collective bargaining, the employer does not deal with the workers directly, but he deals with a collective authorized institutions. It is an institutional mechanism for a fixing of the price of the labor services, wage services, salaries, other wage benefits, whatever it is. Establishing a system of the industrial jurisdictions, jurisdictions, and the providing a machinery for the representation, and then individual and the group interest. So basically, here the institutions, one of the institutions are there. Institution may be constituted by the employee, employer, maybe outside consultant, whatever the things. They should be in a set of uh, party, those who are negotiating, and finally, uh, after the bargaining, they have to actually give you solutions. Collective bargaining is among other things if rule making or the norms creating process. Okay, bilateral kind. So the three different kinds of relations which are regulated by the substantive rules. That is your economic, basically it's a market relationship, and your governmental relationships, and your workplace relationships. So there is play, the three role play, the relationships are play are different kinds to regulate the things. What are the rules are there that has been regulated? Types of collective bargaining. What are the types? There are basically two types of bargaining exercises. One is known as your conjunctive, that is all, or other we can say that the distributive bargaining, and the other is integrative or cooperative bargaining. So both the cases are in a different viewpoint, but in the case of distributed bargaining, mostly the things are in a fixed, that is in a fixed amount, I mean the salary, whatever the things are fixed, the solution will come as a sometimes it may be a loser, sometimes it may be a winner. Case may be. But in case of integrated or we can say the cooperative bargaining type, where some uh, some of the things are considering both way, means from the employee side and from the employer side. Both the things are jointly by the collaboratively it has been decided by the cooperative. So that case it is a totally win-win situation. Both the parties are happy, and that is almost a very popular type of this. This is your integrative type of bargaining. It's more effective and more successful. There are three elements in the system of the collective bargaining. That is issues for your considerations, the issues pertaining to union recognitions, and the union security come off for the considerations when the organizations or the workforce are weak and they struggle for the recognitions by the employers. So this is one of the elements you can see. Collective bargaining is basically is a flexible concept. So it is a naturally one give and take before the final agreement is reached or the final settlement is arrived. Because through this table, all the across the table, it will be discussed. Sometimes, maybe, for example, there are 10 points from the both the parties in a different way. So one party have 10 points, and other party is also 10 point. Now they start bargaining in between. So one by one point, they try to match it. If it is okay, they consider it is a now it is a one. I mean, successfully it is done. Then the second point that we discussed, not necessarily all the points have to be matched. Means agreeable. So settlement are final settlement will be this, the process are like this, and some of the times you have to compromise some of the things. Maybe your the point number three may not be achievable 100% from the particular party A, and for the party B, they are observing in their viewpoint it may be a 70 to 80%. So somewhere some settlement should be there. So maybe 80% of particular point they will agree. So this is the way they have to reach slowly all the points. Maybe initially both are 100%. Maybe the dream the 100% you have to achieve both the parties. But finally, when the settlement is arrived, maybe final settlement, it will be 80%. Some of the points are maybe they cancel each other's, or maybe withdrawn. Some of the points they have withdrawn the particular party, depending on considering the other benefits or things. So that's why it is a ongoing process, ongoing bargaining process. Through this process, it's give and take policy are there. Sometimes they are giving and taking in other way. So, so it provides a mechanism. It provides a mechanism for organized relationships between the management and the trade unions. It may happen there may be 3 to 4 unions are there during the bargaining process. Maybe not one union is not there. There may be 3 or 4 union leaders or representatives are there. They are also different opinions, different center points. There are different viewpoints. Maybe. So ultimately, in nutshell, you can say so. This process, this collective bargaining process, we can joint consult by the joint consultations, and through some adjustment, various problems can be solved. Can reach a one particular point. So idea is this. Basically, the basic purpose of this bargaining, I mean the collective bargaining means sit together, discuss, and some solutions will be best solution which are relevant to all the welfare and the company welfare, company growth, considering company profit, everything are being considered. So this is a way, basically some adjustment is some control, so adjustment is there. Adjustment means in the case of drawing some of the points to match the needs, this type of adjustment during the discussions are normally held. And we can come out some of the problems can be solved. Now, it has been the beginning with the structure is there in the process and agreements. Three things are involved. First, structure is there, then some process, and finally, agreement should be there. Without agreement, the collective process cannot be completed. So, agreement should be there. So today's collective bargaining process is based upon the statutory laws. Our laws are there. We have to follow these laws. So what makes collective bargaining possible in this context is that both labor and the management have an ultimate harmony of interest. Because before start the bargaining process, some law should be there, some policy should be there, how far we can discuss. I mean, even what type of languages you have to use, utilize, everything are in a lawful, some statutory instructions are there. And the process can be how long can be continued. So, uh, without some statutory law, bargaining process cannot be fulfilled. So, law should be there uh, so that the context of the both the part, the labor and the management, there are some uh, maintaining the harmony and the interest of the company or the humanity. You have to show your good behavior also. So one way, okay, argument will be there, opinion will be there, demand will be there, but with a very nice way, very maintaining the with the interest of the company itself. So the desire to assure that the farm on which they work and from which they are both paid. Because considering always you have to keep in mind, maybe in the labor side or maybe the management side, this is the company who are giving the money in terms of the profit that is shared by everybody, so labor and management. So both ways should be in win-win situations. To take care of the management also, and management also should take care of the labor also. So then only the fruitful results can be achieved. For which the both of our parties. So we remain in business so that business can be remain, can be survive in a survival mode. See, in order to stay in business, see, it must be competitive with the other firms. At the same time, we have to keep in mind also, I mean, during the process, keeping in view of the other companies also, so that it should not be uh, out of the market. So that condition is also to be seen. In terms, I can add on some of the things. Basically, suppose for example, negotiation point was regarding the wage or salaries. And simply salaries it may not be high or may not be rise in a abruptly. I mean, some increment or whatever that we decided, there should be a limit so that it should be viable. I mean, in the market positions what are the economic conditions can be fulfilled. At the same time, it will be so high demand, many may cannot not able to do it. Many are reluctant to do this. That should not be. Somewhere should be maintained and such a demand, such a point, such a salaries which are really advisable and marketable. Whether the market is demand, okay, this much money is there, then settlement can be done. So then both way it will be. So it can be we can maintain our competitiveness with the other. Now come to settlements. Is there some of these sections that again there is some Industrial Dispute Act is there 1947. Based on this, and the section 2B just mentioned how to the settlement law. If any disputes are there, if any problems, how to solve it. So everything are depicted, everything are mentioned in these sections. They emphasize two categories of the settlement. A settlement which is arrived at in the course of conciliations procedures, which is arrived at with the assistance and the concurrence of the conciliation officers. Like most of the cases, the money, the end money, the 10% or 20% contractually, which is keeping hold in the time of uh, end of the project or sometimes or end of the things provided by the company or to the supplier or the employer, whatever the things. So that reconciliations are very much. If any discrepancy happen, then it will be taken care by the court. I mean the Industrial Dispute Act. There it has been decided. So this is one type of normally the categories of settlement are normally just happen. That is your consolidations process. Another part is this is an agreement between the employer and what might arrive otherwise than in the course of consolidations proceedings. So this is a different issues are there based on the agreement between these parties. Suppose in the agreement something is written and it is not maintained somehow both the parties anyway. So it can be it will be treated as a dispute because agreement are not followed by the party. So both the party has to follow has to what are the agreement is there that has to be maintained. So if it is not there, then definitely it will be a dispute and some settlement is required, maybe in monetary, maybe some any type of compensation should be there so that it can be settled by these things. Basically, the contractual matters, most of the cases, this happen in the 5 years contracts, 3 years contracts are there by the employee or employer contracts. But somehow it is not completed, or maybe before that, somehow the not completion of the agreement, before that something dispute has arisen or problem arises. So that case, how to settle the things? So that case will be compensated by the some amount, some of the or will be extended some services extra, or will be the so many other ways that the things has to be that is the another type of consolidation process agreements, collective agreements. The range of subjects which may be covered by the collective bargaining and agreements in very wide. So some agreements are short and deal with only a few matters. Many, however, are elaborate codes which cover a many aspects of industrial relations. In some respects, they constitute a kind of industrial legislations regulating the condition of employment of a vast number of employees. So, uh, the following some of the list indicates of the main items which are included in collective agreements. That is, as I told you, the wages, including time rate, 8 hours, 10 hours, or extra time, part time, whatever the things, piece rates, and other incentives, payments, procedure for fixing, rates for new jobs. So everything are some clear-cut procedure should be there. It should be a book form type. At a glance, you can see it is tabulated in the books. And all this procedure has to be tabulated in some written or in tabulated form given there. If the situation coming, this type of labor will pay these things. If this time of work is there, this is the case. So everything are wages, rates, and the at the rate, how much rate should be rate, everything are defined. And even moreover, the incentive premises also has been defined. How much the formula, what type of formula has to be introduced for arrive the incentive. So that is also different levels are tabulated. should be in the procedures, rates and limit. So before finalize the procedures or finalize the all these things, wages, rate, payment, and all these things, some collective bargaining or the meeting should be required so that that document can be finalized. Or you can say in this case it's the agreement, that all this agreement participation of the both the parties, labor side, employee side, so everything are to be finalized. So collectively that be done. Then collectively there was another thing, another is the hours of the work, what time, shift working, and the rest periods, how much rest should be there, lunch hours, tea break time, 15 minutes, everything are will be calculated and should mention in the agreement. Annual holidays and the rates of pay for the holidays. Some of the companies are giving the amount of so holiday. That's the LTA. Their leave travel allowances are there. So sick leave and the leave for absence from other reasons, because it's sick leave, medical leave, that is basically medical leave, but some other leaves are there, other reasons. So all these leaves, how it will affect in the incentives also. So if the full month working, different type of incentives. If some absence is there, maybe one third, particular 1 month, one third absence. You are out of 30 days, 25, 20, 25 days working days. Out of that, 10 days are absent somehow. So that case, particular this month incentives will be reduced. Product basis will be reduced. So all these things are regulated. The rate are fixed. So it will be defined in the agreement itself. Seniority rights with regard to layoff and the retrenchment, because suppose the 4 years policy or maybe 5 years policy, the promotions seniority that has to be considered. If it is not there, then again it is a dispute. Again it will be collective bargaining process. So everything are agreemented, tabulated, and signed by the both the parties. And will be preserved for these things. And everybody has to follow these things. Then discipline enforcement. Suppose some level of indisciplinary actions supposed likely to be taken, and that disciplinary enforcement is also there. Training of workers and the apprenticeships, they are also there. Some of the provisions are there in the agreement, because during the apprenticeship period, what are the stipend periods there? If you leave these organizations or you are not willing to work, so if you discontinue your service immediately, may not to pay the 1 month notice period, everything. So like even in the training period, the amount only the facility will be the salary, some considered stipend will be there. It not be considered as a salary. So even all these things are particular agreements. French benefits, including the retirement benefits, because sometimes in the medical facility, post retirement, also the facilities there they are getting, that has to be in the agreement. After the retirement, what facility will be there? Some things would be there, some pensions, or maybe some of the allowances maybe continue as far as with the existing staff, those who are current staff, current employees, those who are current employees at par with what are the facility uh, can be given after retirement also. So that is a part of the French benefits. So that establish of fair production standards. Some of the standards also to be prepared, then including the satisfactory quality of food, so quality standards, the method of increasing the productivity, there should be a clear-cut methodology so that the agreement is there. So how we can increase the productivity. At the same time, security is also there. Here actually I have not mentioned the security aspect maybe, but security is also one part of it. What type of security is there? Joint constitution procedure, method of settling the grievances and disputes, then your permission of strikes and the lockouts during the period your covered and your period of covered by the agreement. Then during of the agreement and is your subsequent continuations, procedure for negotiating a new agreement. These are all uh, different categories are there. Are usually part of your agreement. Here, the strikes and lockouts are some specific situations. And at that time, some contingency plan will be there. What to do? Again, based on this area. Because why this agreement should be mentioned in the because labor cannot go for strike straightly. They have to discuss, they have to negotiate, they have to inform to the management if they really want to go to strikes. Sufficient time should be given. One fine day, if everybody is saying from tomorrow strike, declare, union are declare their himself. It may not. That case, uh, even same time in vice versa, lockout also. Company management cannot be lockout in one time. They have to give it a certain time. They have to justify the things why they are going for this lockout or retrenchment or layout, layoffs, whatever the things. There is some solid reason should be there, and some extent all these things are mentioned in the agreement also, so that some favorable parts are there, so that the employee may not be restrained just straightway. It cannot be restrained. Management cannot take a decision in straightway. There should be some procedure. Yeah. Collective agreements. And yes, some of the depends some of the points are there. Following what are the factors? So, one of the principles for establishing and the promoting the collective bargaining is to give the voluntary recognitions to the trade unions as one of the contracting parties. It may also have the positive benefit or improving the industrial relations, productions, and productivity. So that is one of the part of the factors. There should be willingness to give and take by both the parties and interest on the part of both to reach an agreement and to make collective bargaining work. The trade unions should refrain from putting forward exaggerated demands because there should be different things. It should not be a very high demand. As I told you earlier, the union are already in this structure, they have to keep in mind all these considerations. The success of the collective bargaining depends upon the following factors. Again, the whole atmosphere of the collective bargaining gets uh, mediated relations between the victor and the strain and the negotiations more difficult because if the relations are not good, commenting each other, taunting each others, so if bitterness atmosphere environment is there, then negotiation processes are very difficult. It cannot come out with solutions. So both the parties engaged in suppose unfair practices, then it is very difficult to fix. In the case, you have to maintain the harmony and listen to each other's opinions very carefully. Given a time slot, uh, should be open, things should be open and transparent. I think things have to be transparent. Collective bargaining usually takes place when there are differences between the parties on certain issues. But in order to make the collective bargaining process more successful, it is essential on the part of the representatives of employers and unions to hold meetings at regular intervals to consider matters or of common interest. More successful, it is essential uh, on the part of the representatives of the employers and union to hold the meetings at regular intervals. Question is this. So in a regular interval, you have to meet each other so that the relationship can be developed and listening power will be improved, allow to others opponent what they are saying, the same vice versa, both way, until and unless the talks are not in between, then solution can be. Both are in adamant natures, arrogant place are there, ego is there, then definitely it will be a problem for the collective bargaining cannot be successful. So both the parties should have a maintain some of the rule and regulations mentally and should be in a lawfully. Then we can get a good results. Conditions for success of collective bargaining. So effective collective bargaining presupposes an intelligent understanding of both the management and the union of the needs, aspirations, objectives, and the problems of the other party. So that's why I'm telling you these things. So you should be keep in mind some objectives should be there in the mind and considering the problem of the other parties also. So as a labor representative, if I only consider only the employee and the labor class, then I may not be a good negotiator. I mean, so I have to consider, I have to see also management side also, how best they can allow, how best they can give, how much we can reach the things, the demand can be reached. Otherwise, I will be unsuccessful. So, sometimes we have to see the management parts also. Really, this is feasible or not? Suppose if I propose some of the things during the collective bargaining process, so my proposals are realistic or not, and it is feasible or not, it is acceptable or not, and that conditional things are to be considered in mind before throw the any proposals. So both intelligent collectively bargaining demands specialized training. So that's why some of the training is required. Everybody cannot be a part of this process. So both management and the union often find it difficult to locate the men on the other side of the table who are authorized to negotiate. Because it has happened. Sometimes you are calling for the meeting for collective bargaining, but for the union representatives or maybe other parties, they are in the community, they just only joined this party, but they are not expert on these things. Other tribal parties, they are discussion are they're not aware of all these things very much. They are not expert on this field, so then it will be a very problem. You cannot only that they are in their written or they are instructed by the some of the seniors. Only you have to say these things. Apart from this, you don't participate, don't say anything. Keep shut your mouth in the table itself. Then it will be a very problem because cannot. So that's why there is some specialized training is required. How to deal with the negotiation part, bargaining part. For proper negotiations, so So it is necessary to know persons empowered to act for the company and the union respectively. So it is very important things for the collective bargaining process or before finalize the agreement, then it will be really required for the expert persons are required. So negotiations are a part of everyday life. The process of negotiating has been described by Walton and the Matthias that the deliberate interactions of two or more complex social units which are attempting to define or redefine the terms of their interdependence. Gottschalk defines the negotiation process as an occasion where one or more representatives of two or more parties interact in an explicit attempt to reach a jointly acceptable positions, one or more divisive issues. So different authors are defining the definitions are given the how what the negotiation really. So negotiating process negotiating is essentially a process of advancing the proposals. So that negotiation as a negotiator or as a negotiation means advancing the proposal. If the negotiation is not there, then proposal cannot be moved. So this is just like a sterifying some of the sterilites and suppose accelerate the things. Negotiation is only the accelerate the things for advancing the proposals. Discussion and the criticism there. So explaining and the explaining their meaning and efforts. Seeking to secure the acceptance and the making counter proposals or modifications for the similar evaluations. Negotiation model. There are so many models out there. So Walton and the Maxim are one of the models are there. A proposal proposed one of the most influential models in analyzing negotiations. They distinguished uh, the following four systems of activity or the sub processes in labor negotiations, each having its own functions for the reacting parties, interesting parties, distributed parties. The function of which is to resolve the conflicts between the parties, integrated bargaining, the function of which is to find the common or complementary interests, attitudinal structuring, the function of which is to influence the attitudes of the participants toward each other, intra-organizational bargaining, the function of which is to achieve the consensus within each of the interacting groups, while the sub-processes are related and can occur simultaneously, particularly the integrative and the distributive sub-processes, conceptually they are quite different. So this is some of the models have been discussed. Now some of the guidelines. So what are the guidelines of this differing during the negotiation process? Following some of the guidelines are there. Don't be afraid to negotiate. This is one of the main things. Let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate. So John Kennedy, F. N. Kennedy, has given these definitions. So he has defined in that way what is the negotiation. Sometimes ultimately it is in form of guidelines. So don't negotiate when you have nothing to bargain with, or when broader objectives might be previous. Mutual respect and trust are fundamental requirements, especially within win-win strategy. So that is one of the vital point, the mutual respect. The style of negotiation will depend in part on the qualities and skills of the parties involved. Skilled negotiators will conclude the better deals because those who are skilled, they know what type of wording, what type of communication, how to communicate the things, the message, the awareness. Ultimately, they can highlight the things for the as a neutrally they can do it. So identify the decision maker on the other side because who are really take the decisions. If we really are complaining or I mean in the this mode, this process mode, that may not be sufficient. But somebody has to take a decision also. When the really part of the negotiation part, then to negotiate the things, so decision is also a part of the vital part. So decision is also yes, no, or yeah, okay, I am 50% agree, or 70% agree. Some sort of wording, confidence has to be there. The process called the principle of negotiations was developed by the Harvard Negotiations Project and published in a book titled Getting to Yes. The essential element of the process is to be hard on the merits, soft on the people. The goal is to decide the issues presented and the negotiation table on their merits. Under the principal negotiation model, the first objectives is to separate the people from the problems. Principal negotiation approach is highly desirable in the ongoing labor relations. This is the one of the good things. Unfortunately, however, it is difficult to apply the principal negotiations where a party maintain a hard bargaining process. Suppose they are adamant, they are hard, they are not in a mind to negotiate the matters. So that is a problem. Uh, so mature bargaining relationships, unlike the hard bargaining approach, which is frequently found in less mature relationships. Then your for the some negotiation that the for how to succeed the success of the negotiations. Always do your homework. So you have to before going to the negotiation tables or in the meeting or in the bargaining process, you have to have your homework. Always feel free to ask questions. If you need doubts or if you not clarify the things, you have to ask the things. Listen to what other persons has to say. This is another important part. You have to listen the other things. Maintain an attitude of respect for your opposite to all times. Every time, all times you have to give some respect to opposite. Maybe the demand or maybe the ideology will be different, uh, issues are your problem will be different, but still you have to maintain the some of the respect. Honor whether the commitment made. Suppose when the commitment is already, then you have to honor it. Yes. Adopt a friendly tone. Suppose there should not be any abuse languages or something. Disrespect should not be there. So you have to use some of the friendly tone. Yes. So the preparation for the long-term settlement should start from the same date when the last agreement was signed. So skill and trace of the negotiation team is there. That is attributes of a successful negotiator. That is sets clear objectives, does not hurry when in doubt, call for a process, in, in prepared, is prepared on, remains flexible, continually examines why the other party acts as it does, respects face saving, tactics employed by the oppositions attempts to ascertain the real interest of the other party by the priority opposites proposed actively listens, build a reputation for having fairness and the affirmance, control emotions. So it is all of the skills and some of the basic requirement traits, some of the things are there as a negotiation team. Then remembers to evaluate each bargaining move in the relation to all other negotiations. Then measures bargaining moves against the ultimate objectives. Pays close attention to the wording of the proposals. Remembers that compromise is the key to successful negotiations. Understands that no party can afford to win or lose all. Tries to understand the people, considers the impact of the present negotiations on the future relationship of the parties, attributes of the negotiation team. So, what are the impact? That also you have to see the your future relationship should not be disturbed. That part you have to calculate about it. For the present demands, present scenario, present you behavior, it may not be affecting your future relationship. That should not be affected. That also you have to be careful. So negotiating team should consist of 3 to 4 persons. So the team should be 3 to 4 persons. Those who are can collaboratively, jointly they can discuss and they can propose some things during the discussions. Tactics for the strategies in the there are so many tactics are there, or we can say the strategies to be adopted in the negotiation, very depending upon the culture of the organizations and the different environment factors, particularly the type of union operating in an industrial establishment. But the following are some of the common strategies to make the negotiation exercises more meaningful. Number one. So then now sometimes the back strategy or the dispute persons with low rank without authority to comment and management on the negotiation tables. So such a step may give an impression to the union that the management does not take the negotiating process with all the seriousness that is deserved. So before sending the representative of the unions, so that is their responsibility to send the persons with a fully equipped awareness, knowledge, everything they should be given. And some authorities also to be given so that he can take the decision and their themselves. So as a measure of follow up, so follow up on what are the things? Is evaluate the prevailing environment changes and cultivate a healthy pragmatic approaches, train and develop the rank and the file working group to include to inculcate them the individual effectiveness and professionalism in the negotiations. Then develop the specific action plans for the negotiation based on the prevailing situations. So all these are part of basically the strategy part, tactics part before going to start the negotiation process. So here actually I am trying to analyze the things. Today we have discussed the part of your block 3, that is the collective bargaining, where we have seen some of these things, theory of these things, then finally a lot of procedure I have seen, then the structure also I have seen, and then finally there some of the guidelines are also given, government guidelines, and your some of the tactics and strategies also given in the organizations. So from these units on this block, we can say that is very much important from the organizational point of view. If we see the competitiveness of the company to compete the other companies, so definitely the your uh, collective bargaining process has to be strong enough where the employee-employer relations can be built up. Because we are talking of the industrial and the employment relations, MMPH004, where this block 3, how this block 3 is more important. Block 3 is the collective bargaining. Because here both the pillars of employees and the employer, you can say that is two pillars of this thing in the company. Both the pillars are very strong enough, which is where the company stands. So if the pillar, one of the pillar is not strong enough or disturbing, then it may be create a problem. It may be create some jerk or some earthquake type. This company are cannot move further. So always you have to consider the things are moving or in the right direction or not. If there are any grievances or if any bargainings or any things are required, really required jointly, any basically problem solving. So any small problems or even a big problems, so you have to sort out as early as possible. If it is small nature or maybe the short time or maybe the long time, whatever it is. So make a team, some dedicated team should be there, industrial team, industrial team should be there in the organizations who can look after the things. Another things, as per my experiences, I can share, that is proactive actions are very much. Then only we can reduce lot of problems which are likely to be come. Because it's a very sensitive issue. Employee-employer relations are very sensitive. Because if the laborers are something are in their mind, they are not happy enough. So it will reflect through the companies itself. Because they are the real asset. The employee, those who are working in condition or working in the particular production cells, they are really the asset of the company. And those who are very skilled persons, even they are very skilled persons, they are the more responsible for these things. They have to, middle management are always in the track of the things so that the relation cannot be destroyed or diluted. Main thing that relationships are limited. Lot of aspects we have seen. And here, I can say the HR part, one of the parties they have done because pay equipment is okay and pay salaries also you are getting. There are no issues. But after that, the implementations, during the implementations, lot of problems are arising. They are unhappiness, fatigue, they are overtimes, job are not distributed correctly. So everything are to be seen from the industrial management side. Otherwise, the relationship can be different because initially you cannot be identify where the problems, but when it is a spreading, all the department, if you are now spreading, then you can notice it. But by the time has already crossed, it has already uh, developed so many areas. So that type of unhappiness and unwillingness are starting. So you have to identify before that. So some reasons. So that's why somewhere we have discussed the regular basis discussions. Regular meetings, maybe in the end of the day or maybe the evening in the starting of the day, you have to regularly interact with the subordinates, the individual role play, what they are doing the job, if any loopholes, if any shortfalls, that has to be clarified there itself. If any problems, personal problems, that also has to be sorted out there itself. Otherwise, again, it will be dispute and then negotiation part will be there, then collective bargaining process has to be called out. Like everything are the very long procedures. So try to avoid the collective bargaining process try to avoid it. That is the main thing, the main mode of response. So, okay, I think now we can finish it up. All of things. So, thank you very much, and we have to look forward for the next block.